Hello, welcome or welcome back to my channel. Let's talk about all of the books that I read in May and June. This video is going to be incredibly late because I'm filming it incredibly late. It's literally, I think, the 18th of June today. However, I was not going to film this video because I thought that I could do like a 3-month wrap up and include July because I really didn't read that many notable books, I would say, during the months of May and June. There were some standouts, but overall, I was just kind of meh about those 2 months. So I was just going to add it in with July. However, I have been reading like a maniac so far in July. I think I've read 7 books already. And it's. Oh, I'm so lost. It's literally the 20th, but still. I still have a little over a week left, and I'm in the middle of 2 books at this moment. So I feel like we'll have a lot to talk about for my July wrap up. So I thought that, you know what, I'll just do a separate wrap up for July and we'll sit and talk about these books that I've read in the past couple months. So without further ado, let us rank all of the books that I read in May and June. So the first book that I'm going to talk about is the one DNF that I've had, The Endless War by Danielle L. Jensen. This is the 4th book in the Bridge Kingdom series. And honestly, this one breaks my heart. I will say I was really, really loving it, to be honest. I was loving the entire series, and I think I made it to a little over 100 pages. Let me see. Page 150. This is a long book, though, so let's see. Yeah, this one is almost 600 pages. So the commitment that it would have required for me to continue it just to see it through was a lot, especially because I really wasn't connecting with it at all. So this one is the second duology in the series. It's a series of interconnected duologies based within the same world, but I really really loved the first 2 books. I loved the first book, which is The Bridge Kingdom. I just thought that this was perfect. I loved the setup. I really loved this one. I also loved the second one, which is The Traitor Queen. I loved this duology so much. It's a 5-star duology, but I gave this one 4.5 stars. I read the third book as well, which was the beginning of this second set of duologies. And I liked it. It took me like 2 months to read though, because it felt very long, very, very repetitive because we're now following a set of characters who are experiencing the same things that we're experiencing in the first duology, but we're seeing it from a different perspective. So we're seeing it from these characters' perspectives now. And that last book was really repetitive, but I wanted to see it through because I was interested in the dynamic and I really liked the main male character. I thought that he was an interesting and really complex character. So I was excited to follow him, but I just think that I don't care about the story anymore by this point. Honestly, I am struggling, and it took a lot for me to DNF this because if I DNF this, that means I'm DNFing the series. And I just loved the first 2 books so much that it really pained me. But I just can't get into it anymore. I feel disconnected, and this story just feels like we're going around in circles, like no progress is really being made. And I don't know, the setup of this 4th book just really didn't intrigue me. So unfortunately, I am DNFing the Bridge Kingdom series on book 4, but yeah, that was our one and only DNF in the past 2 months, so I'll take it. Okay, now we're into books that I actually did finish. So we'll start at number 9, which is Savor It by Tara Dewitt. I don't have a physical copy of this one. I read it on Kindle, and I actually really enjoyed it. I read it while I was on my anniversary trip to Guadeloupe with my husband. And one thing about me is when I'm on vacation, I don't really read. Like I like to use my vacation time to like spend that time with family and talk and kind of just be together. So I will always read, like I'll always have a book going, but to finish a book on a vacation is very unlike me. So this one, I think because of the nature of our trip where we were just really relaxing for a good majority of it, I was able to like sit by the pool and kind of get lost in this one a bit. And I enjoyed it. It honestly passed the time. I don't really have much to complain about with it other than I just don't think it's my preference in romance. This one follows our two main characters who are two adults and they were having a summer fling, and that premise was honestly the thing that made me not like it so much. I just think that a summer fling, even if there are like reasons to be reserved, I just think like as adults, why what are we doing? Why are we having a summer fling? But it was fun. I liked the town and I liked the two main characters individually. I don't know if they were really like a love match or if they were more so two attractive people in proximity to each other. But regardless, I loved it or I liked it. It passed the time. It really didn't do much for me, but there it is. And it was also a small town. It was set in this small town of Spoons. So I really liked the small town and I will read the rest of the series. I know the third one just came out recently and it's called Lost and Found. And I really, really want to read the second one. I can't remember the name of it, but I really want to read that one because that's my kind of thing. It's a second chance romance and I'm already kind of invested in that relationship that's going to be featured in the second book. So I'm actually thinking I'm going to pick that one up pretty soon. But yeah, that second one is also not just second chance, but they're literally like divorced. I eat that up, unfortunately. I love a marriage in turmoil kind of situation. And they're also like co-parenting, so they're still in each other's lives. Yeah, my next book is also a part of a series. It's the third book in the This Woven Kingdom series by Tahara Mafi. This one is All This Twisted Glory. I didn't love this one, to be honest. I loved the first one. I thought it was really interesting and I thought it set up the intrigue of the world and like the magic system a little bit. Like it didn't give a lot because it's the first book in a series and it was just kind of setting things up. But I loved the dynamic between the two main characters in the first book, and I thought that the little bit of world building that we got was also interesting. The second book, nothing much happened, but I loved that one even more because honestly, the romance in there was kind of amazing. The tension was just so good, and I found like the relationship between them was very compelling, even though it was very quick and things escalated really quickly. I don't care. It's a fantasy world. I could buy into pretty much anything, but this one at this point I need something to happen. You know, I could give you one book. I could give you two books to kind of get stuff going. Third book, and we're still doing absolutely nothing. Our main character spent so much time, let's just say, in bed. And not in a bad way. I mean literally in bed. Like not contributing to the storyline whatsoever. What are we doing? This one, I love the characters in this one. So it's really hard for me to say that I didn't like it. Because that's not true. But I just really need something to happen in this series. And I need it to happen now. You know? I feel like if I read one more book and nothing happens that really changes the stakes or progresses the plot of the fantasy element, I'm done. I'm so easy to DNF, like don't test me right now. And I'm also notoriously bad at finishing series. So if you're not keeping me so locked in and so entertained, I'm done. I'm done. Next one is a very short story that I read. I actually listened to it on audio one day because I saw somebody talk about it on a YouTube shorts, I think, and they said that it was amazing, fantastic, beautiful. So you don't need to tell me twice. I downloaded it. And I don't really have much to say about it. It was really short, but it was like short and sweet, you know, as Sabrina Carpenter would say. I thought it was a story about this young boy who finds out that he's going to be a father at 14-ish. And he's also an orphan. So he gets adopted into this family. And there's also this young son in the family. So he and the son become really good friends over a long period of time. And the message, I guess the theme of family and fighting for family and having each other's back and that kind of unbreakable sibling bond. It was so precious. I was literally like tears were streaming down my face. And trust me when I say this was a short book. So for it to get those kind of emotions out of me was definitely a testament to the writing and the storytelling. But I just thought it was really good. And I loved our two main characters, the two young boys who were brothers. I just thought they were so precious, and I so understand that feeling of, wanting to always have your brother or your siblings back and protecting them from all of the terrible things that could happen in this life. It was really precious. I can't say anything else. This one is Spectacular Things by Beth Dory Stein. I actually read this one in Florida. I read it actually in the airport on the way to Florida and a little bit while I was there. And I actually really liked this one. I thought that so this one follows two main characters, Mia and Cricket. They're sisters. I guess siblings was kind of the code of this month. But yeah, it follows the two of them, and at the beginning of the book, we see Mia, who is the older sister, going through something really difficult, and she kind of reaches out to Cricket and asks for something huge. It is a huge sacrifice for Cricket, but it's something that, is almost life or death, and so she asks her for this, but it's also something that could jeopardize Cricket's career, and it's something that she's so passionate about, and something that she and her mom and also Mia have sacrificed kind of their entire life to make a reality. So it is something really big to have to sacrifice on Cricket's part, and so that's kind of where we begin the story. We actually begin with Cricket reaching to the Women's World Cup. And that is like such a huge, obviously, life goal as a footballer. And so she has to really grapple with whether she wants to choose her family and her sister, who sacrificed basically her entire life for her, or this career that everybody around her has sacrificed so much for. So it is a moral dilemma. And I think for me, like at the beginning, I was like, I know exactly what I would do. But I think it's really simple for me, because the thing that I'm passionate about in this life more than anything, I think, is my family. But I don't have a passion for like football or anything else on that scale that Cricket does. So I think really getting to know them, getting to know the family and how much they care about football or soccer, and seeing how much they truly sacrificed over the years for this dream to become a reality, it was a moral dilemma. And I felt for Cricket during this book. And I loved the past timeline where we were really getting to know the family. We were getting to know the dynamics between the mom and the two sisters. We're getting to know the dynamic between the two sisters throughout the rest of their life. And it was a really beautiful story. And I was completely convinced that it was going to be a 5-star up until maybe 80%. I thought that the conflict resolution that I spoke about, so the thing that happened at the very beginning and the big sacrifice, I think that we didn't talk about it enough. I think while I understand why we spent so much time in the past timeline and getting to know each other, and well, not each other, but getting to know the family and the sacrifices that they've made over the years, I think that we really needed to spend at least like 50 more pages on Cricket and Mia grappling with the aftermath and the fallout of the decision or the indecision that happened with regards to that conflict that we were introduced to in the beginning. It almost just kind of got brushed over at the very end, and it was resolved with two conversations with the sisters with other people. So they never spoke to each other about it really, but Mia spoke to one person and Cricket spoke to another person, and then everything was resolved. And I didn't like the way that it was resolved. I think the driving force of the story, aside from the kind of familial love and that theme of sacrifice and passion, was conflict. And what would you sacrifice for your loved ones and your family. And we didn't really get that conflict enough, in my opinion. I think that would have really raised it to 5 stars. But I will definitely read more from Beth Doris Stein. I thought that this one was a standout of the past few months. And that's saying a lot because it is, I think, like number 6 on the list. Yeah, it's number 6 on the list. And I guess that just goes to show that my top 5 I had so much fun with and I love them so much. So, okay, and number 5, we have, I think it was an Amazon original audiobook. I'm not sure, but I think so. And it's Love at First Sight by Cara Buster. And this is my first time reading anything by her. And I was pleasantly surprised. I think I gave this one 4.5 stars or something. And it was really short. When I say short, I think it was like, I want to say like a 4-hour audiobook, which is crazy that I gave it such a high rating. But I just loved it. I kind of binged it because I thought it was so, I loved kind of the back and forth between our two main characters. So this one is following our two main characters. Oh my gosh, what are their names? Okay, I'm not seeing our female main character's name on Goodreads, but I see our main male character. So we're following Robbie and our FMC, who I guess remains nameless at this point. But they are both in this psych class, and it's called the Psychology of Love or something like that. And their final project is to figure out whether love at first sight exists. And so I actually really, really liked that aspect. I think that more so than like them being sweet and cute together and forming kind of an unlikely friendship, and not unlikely, but forming a friendship and finding that it might be developing into something more based on like the experiences that they're having and the conversations that they're having with other people who are in love. I thought that the shining star was the psych, like the side characters and getting to know love in all different forms and from different relationships and from different perspectives, and hearing about everybody's meet cutes and the things that they do for each other over the course of their relationships, whether it is a relationship that has stood the test of time or whether it was just for a moment, but there was, real love and it was love at first sight. I loved that part. And if anybody has any recommendations that have like that kind of subplot, I guess, please let me know, because I actually found myself so intrigued by that, and I love interconnected relationships or romances within a story. So that one was just so much fun for me. And I thought that the two main characters were just really cute. The ending was cute. I ate it up, to be honest. And I will be reading a next Caraba Stone soon. I think maybe this month. I have No Matter What downloaded on my Audible. So I think I'm going to jump into that one soon. And I'm really excited because that's a second chance romance. And as I said, that's my favorite. So I think A Marriage in Turmoil second chance romance is the top tier. And everything else falls below that. I don't know why I said I didn't have that many hard hitters or noteworthy books this month. This is my first 5-star of the top 4, which means I had 4 5-stars in the past 2 months. So who knows what I was talking about? The Frozen River by Ariel Lohan. I actually really, really enjoyed this one. I didn't expect to like it even nearly as much as I did. I thought that I would, to be honest, because I had heard a lot of people whose opinions kind of align with mine saying that they really enjoyed this one. And I also generally love a literary mystery style of story. So I knew that I would like it. I didn't expect to love it so much. I also didn't even plan on giving it 5 stars. Truthfully, this one may be more of a 4.5 or 4.75, but this is one of like the best acknowledgements that I've ever read. I cried reading the acknowledgements. And so for that reason, and for that reason only, I really had to bump it up to a 5-star, because that is kind of impressive. It's impressive to make me cry in an acknowledgements, because most of the time I don't even read it. So yeah, I was just so fascinated by the story. We're following our main character, Martha, who is a midwife in the 1950s. Nope, not even. In the 1780s. Which is crazy. I can't even conceive that time. But yeah, she's a midwife in this period, obviously, in a time when most women are not working or not allowed to work, and definitely they're not in the medical practice. So we're following her and reading a lot of her journal entries and, well, I guess journal slash diary entries when she kind of documents not just her daily life, but also every encounter that she has and every birth slash death of a child that she encounters in her practice. She documents it, and it becomes kind of central to this trial for. Can I say that online? I mean, they did say it is. It was a court case about this rape that was committed by two of the more established men within this very small community. And so we just kind of follow Martha as she kind of uses her diary entries and uses her kind of connections within the community and her kind of unique position as someone who is always in everybody's house to figure out what happened and the truth of it. Because on top of the alleged rape, there's also a murder case going on for one of the men who were involved in the rape. So I don't know if I could really say that on the internet. So I hope that this video doesn't get taken down, but you know what I mean. So yeah, there's a lot going on here, and I also I like a trial. I'm okay. This is completely unrelated, but for anybody who doesn't know or hasn't seen some, I don't really talk about it that much. So not to say you haven't seen any video of mine, but if you haven't seen any video where I say it, I am a lawyer, and usually, at least since I've begun practice, I kind of stay clear from lawyer shows, law enforcement shows. They just don't do it for me. They're not entertaining. I don't want to see that in my free time. However, I really enjoyed this one, and I think generally I could enjoy it in books where it's not completely law based. This one was definitely more literary, and we followed Martha and her family and her life story as well as the trial. Like it wasn't central, but it was important, if that makes sense. So yeah, I really, really like this one, and I would highly recommend it. Okay, and now we have a tie for second and third place because how can I rank them? In second and third place, we have the Unselected Journals of Emma M. Lyon, volumes 4 and 5. No, volumes 3 and 4. What can I say? Honestly, if you've watched any of my previous wrap ups for this year, you will hear me talking about this series at length. I'm like obsessed at this point, but I don't know. If you haven't heard about this series, we're following our main character, Emma M. Lyon, who is this young woman who is about to turn 21. So she's about to come into her majority and inherit the house that her father left in her name and kind of get control of her assets, have more autonomy over her life and stuff like that. But we're kind of following the prelude to that. We're following her as she comes back to St. Crispian's for the first time in quite some time. We're following her every single day. We're following her diary entries, and she writes at least a little bit every single day about what's going on, about the people that she meets, the people that she befriends. It's just I don't know. I always struggle to make it sound as interesting as it really is. We are following such an interesting character who I think is so complex and exciting to follow, especially within the setting that we're in, because this is Victorian time. So Miss Emma is supposed to have a chaperone. Miss Emma is not supposed to be speaking to the boys without a chaperone. She's surely not supposed to be passing letters under the door to her neighbor, but she's doing it anyway. And she is taking walks in the park all on her lonesome. And it's just, I love following such an interesting character who literally does not care about society. And she kind of pokes fun at it, and she is involved in it, especially because she has this cousin who is very much high society, very much in the marriage market. Her cousin is Arabella, and she and Arabella make no sense. You know, they shouldn't work, but they do. I just think that this whole series is so perfectly found family. If that's something that you love, I think that you could really find such a precious found family in this. But there's also, it also deals with grief, and it deals with autonomy, and it deals with growing up and coming of age and independence as a woman. And it's just, it is so many things more than just like this historical romance of this girl writing in her diary every day. And there's also romance, but we have no idea who the romance is between. I have my pick. And honestly, in the past couple books, I actually just finished volume 5 and I started volume 6. I think my pick right now is who's going to win her heart, but I don't know. And I know it's also going to be a very long series. So honestly, there are 3 people who I would be happy with, and that's saying a lot because writing 3 main male characters who I could root for and want such an incredible female main character to actually be with. What a feat, girl. Pat yourself on your back, Beth Brower. Honestly, I will never stop talking about the series because it has been the highlight of my reading year. I think I have rated every single one of them 5 stars except the very, very first one because that one is kind of slow to get into and you kind of have to buy into it. And then at like the 75% mark, you'll be charmed and you will actually never want to stop. I think I've read at least one since I read that first one every single month for this year. So it has been like my North Star. If I'm really feeling like I don't want to read anything else and I'm not certain that I will love anything else, I know I could come back to the series. So I'm really trying to pace myself, but equally, I'm on volume 6 right now and I have no intentions of stopping. So, and number 1, which truly, what a feat. What a feat to be number 1 in any month this year that I read M.M. Lion. But she did it. Laini Taylor did it. I had my Strange the Dreamer awakening this year in June. I read this one mostly while I was in Florida. Also, could it be a little bit that I was just on the high of my life, meeting my baby niece for the very first time, my first niece ever, while reading this book? Possibly, but also I don't think so. This was some of the most magical, like ridiculously beautiful, lyrical writing and storytelling and characterization that I have ever read. It was like delicious. Like it was so good. I could not put this book down. Okay, let me relax. This book follows our main character, Laszlo Strange. My literal baby. What do you mean? Okay. I'm getting flustered. This follows Laszlo Strange, who is an orphan, and he believes in magic. He believes in this lost city, this mythical city of Weep. It wasn't always named Weep, but we don't really know what happened to it. But just someday, the name of it got wiped off the face of the universe, and everybody from here on out has referred to it as Weep. And everybody kind of forgot about it except him. Like he became this crazed bibliophile and he lives in the library. He became a junior librarian because he's just so fascinated by the history and he doesn't want to lose that like interest in that city. And then one day the opportunity presents itself for him to go to that city and kind of try to help them figure out the mysteries of Weep. And I don't even want to tell you really what this is about because I don't want you to know anything before you go into this one. It's just so worth it to experience this for what it is, only knowing that we're following this young boy who is just such a dreamer and he's so precious. He's like the sweetest, most precious, darling character I think I've ever read. And we're just following him on like this journey of a lifetime and him kind of realizing that this thing that he's dreamed of maybe isn't all that he's imagined it to be, but it might be more, and it might be worse, and it might be even better, but it also might be like the worst thing of all time. Like, who knows? It's full of twists and turns and mystery and intrigue and magic, and I cannot stop talking about it. I can't stop thinking about it. I can't read the second book yet because I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I'm not prepared. I wasn't even prepared for this. You know, I thought I was picking it up and it was going to be a fun, cute time. Yeah, I highly, 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 highly recommend this one. This was by far my favorite book of June and May. And I think it's also like graduated very quickly to my top favorite books. Maybe top five, maybe top 10, maybe top 10. I'm not sure. But that's saying a lot. I feel like I haven't found a true, like, new favorite book since I read Migrations by Charlotte McConaughey last year. And then that just put me in a slump for so many months. So I'm glad that I've been able to enjoy reading still after reading this. But yeah, if you haven't read this one, I know that this one is like decently popular in the fantasy space. But if you haven't, and you're not really in the fantasy space like me, but you could enjoy a fantasy here and there. And especially if you're not into like fae fantasy, but you want something that's just really magical and almost feels grounded, but it's not, I would really recommend this one. So yeah, that is Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor, my number one book of the past 2 months. And that is all. Oh, honestly, these videos, I love filming them and I love just sitting and talking about them, but I need like two drinks of water right now. I'm so talked out, which my husband would argue is not even possible, but hey. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.